I am Dr. Go, and this is the second video in our 3-video series on finding the best teacher for yourself in tertiary education, meaning a degree program in a university or conservatory, let's say master's or bachelor's, or even as a doctoral candidate into a DMA program, not PhD, but DMA, so performance-based. That being said, if you're new to the channel, my name is Dr. Go. I've been a professional violinist for over 20 years. I've been a soloist, chamber musician, professional orchestra musician. I am currently the artistic director of Musicians Linkage. I'm wearing the shirt. I'm also a lecturer, a violin lecturer in both UCSI and some universities, and I'm on the violin faculty of the Classic International Music Festival. That, and I'm a published author. Now, when talking about finding the best possible teacher, the best possible match for yourself, the first big piece of advice I can offer is to research not the institution, not the program, but the individual professors themselves. The professors are the ones that build the program. If they leave, yeah, the pieces of the program that they built might still be there, but the genius of the teaching has left. Perhaps the university will get somebody new in, but that person will bring their own spin on how they see things best fit to be done. Maybe that's a better fit for you, but you wouldn't know if you don't know the professors. So best thing is research your professors, take lessons with them. Nowadays we have internet, you can take online lessons with virtually anybody on the planet. So that being said, another thing, as in the previous video, please try to know yourself. Self-admittedly, I was a punk as a student. In my student days, I didn't learn as much as I could have, and I blew some opportunities because I was such a punk. Try to realize what type of person you are. Don't try to be unnatural. You have to know what type of person you are and select a professor, teacher, lecturer who fits your personality type well. This is chemistry. You have to find somebody that your chemistry is good. Now, another thing, very important, because in tertiary education, you are looking to go from wherever you're coming in as to being professionally viable, which, by the way, is the responsibility of the lecturer as well as your own to practice what they're teaching you. You have to make sure you really, really research your professor or teacher or lecturer. Because of that extreme responsibility of your lecturer or professor to bring you from wherever you're coming in as to being professionally viable, you have to remember what mark you have to hit. Nowadays, every single day, the bar is being raised. Better and better students, professionals are coming out of the universities and the conservatories every day. The bar is getting raised every day. Students are getting better and better. Teaching methods are improving. Science understanding is improving. So obviously the resulting product of what level of students we're producing is rising. That being said, I will put it this way. Every single of my last 3 professors I studied with, all of them had either taught or performed all 24 Paganini Caprices, and all of them were familiar with the Ernst polyphonic studies. They might not have performed all of them, but they were familiar, they had taught them. That being said, if you look at the artists, the concert violinists out there right now, if you look at the apex jazz violinists, you look at the great orchestra musicians, new ones that are making it in nowadays, all of them are familiar with Paganini Caprices. If you go and you research a lecturer or professor, you take a lesson with them and they are not familiar with the level of playing that you need to be at in order to be professionally viable, no matter your chemistry, that person can't bring you to the level you need to be at. Okay? Just take a look around. Take a look around. every single one of these new orchestra players making it to the new professional orchestras, they're familiar with at least a good portion of the Paganini caprices. They've studied them. They're familiar with them. As the years go past, new orchestra players, new soloists, new jazz violinists are going to get better and better. It's not going to go backward. So look for a teacher, lecturer, professor who is familiar with all of those works, the technical demands, the things that you will learn from those etudes. And make sure that if you're looking to be an orchestra musician, you study with somebody who has professional orchestra experience, because there's no point studying with someone about something they've never done or they have no experience with. They don't know what it's like to stand on stage in front of an orchestra committee behind a screen and feel that scrutinizing tension in the air. There's nothing like it. So unless you have a teacher that's gone through it and can advise you on things to do, techniques to relax yourself for the auditions, how to prepare, you're basically shooting yourself in the leg before you even start. Okay, so really research your teacher, your lecturer, your professor beforehand, and definitely try to take a lesson with them before you sign up. Don't be married to the idea of a great institution just because of their name. You might be worse off at the end, and even worse, you're out of a lot of money. So, that being said, this is an important consideration. Now, once you make it in to a certain school, let's say you audition for a school, you've done your research with the professor, the lecturer, you know who you want to study with, you make it into that institution, you get the lecturer that you are requesting for. Once you start with that lecturer, remember, it's not about little small results and so on and so forth. It's the journey from your first day all the way to graduation. That lecturer is planning every step of the way over that 3 or 4 year course to get to the graduation. Now, what I said 3 or 4 year course is because here in Malaysia, where I'm staying right now, they don't have a 4-year program like they do in the United States, where we have freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year. Here they have 1 year of foundation and then a 3-year degree course. They don't. It's not really known as a baccalaureate thing, but they do have that in the literature somewhere. Anyway, they just call it degree. 3 years. Okay, so 3 or 4 years, your lecturer is planning the whole thing about that journey. If you decide to switch lecturers in the middle, first of all, you break that journey. And second of all, you blow a semester where you're trying to have this feeling out process with another lecturer. Anytime you start with a new teacher, there's always going to be a feeling out process, and it's basically a wasted semester. So the thing is that you have to remember one important thing. Every university conservatory at this tertiary level, every program is made to absolutely crush you to the point that you crack. And the reason being is when you crack, you will break barriers and previous perceptions that you had about yourself and your limits. You'll break open and a new, more beautiful, more open-minded version will emerge. That's the point of those programs. So, of course, the major lecturer is there to also add pressure on you. It's a tremendous amount of pressure. It's difficult. There's nothing easy about it. Anytime you push your comfort zones, it's going to be painful. It gets worse if you try to find an easy way out by switching lecture. It gets worse. Try to stick with that same professor all the way through. Now, I'll tell you, I had the experience where my major professor died right before I could start my doctoral program. There's nothing to do about it. And then again, I had a feeling out process with the new professor. Luckily, she was fantastic. She was understanding, and work could begin pretty soon thereafter. But there was still about half a semester where it was just, there was a lot of lost time. Yeah. So really, once you start with the professor, don't switch. Stick with them all the way through the end. Okay. If you think the chemistry is off, you have nobody to blame but yourself for not doing your research first. That being said, when you finish a baccalaureate program, don't think that that's the end of it, because if you become a professional right thereafter, remember, learning never stops. There is no stasis. There's no such thing as it. You'll hear in the next video where I talk about professionals trying to improve themselves. There's no such thing as stasis. In any living organism, there is no such thing as stasis. Either we grow or we decay. We get better or we get worse. So that's something else to consider. So my big thing in this is, first, know yourself. Second of all, do your studying and your research into these lecturers and potential professors that you're looking into. Take lessons with them. And keep in mind, the bar of being professionally viable is rising every single day. So make sure that when you make your choice, it's an intelligent one. Don't just say, oh, I like this lecturer because they are really good looking or something, and that's enough for me. No. What are their qualifications? What have they achieved? What have their students achieved? Look at all those things. Okay? Some people let money dictate everything. And yeah, some cases it is a big determining factor. You might not be able to afford something without a serious scholarship or grant or something like that, or a teaching assistant position. Great, but still do your research first. So at least you have good viable options before you start bringing in the other worries that need to be settled before you can start your program. Okay, I hope there's been something helpful in this video for those of you looking for professors and lecturers in the tertiary level. And as always, I wish all of you the best in this journey, this wonderful journey of this incredible instrument we call the violin. Cheers.